Okay, we'll give it like 2 more minutes and then we'll definitely get started. All of you are in Atlanta? Everyone is in Atlanta?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta.
Okay.
I'm in Nashville.
Okay, Nashville, nice. Sarah, you're in Atlanta too?
Yep.
Okay. Ooh.
Am I the only one having wine?
You know, I was about to watch. Okay. All right.
Hold on, let me join you. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
It's 8 o'clock. I mean, come on. It's wine down Wednesday.
We did a whole week of Maker's Mark, so I was drinking whiskey every day. I could get too comfortable with this, so.
I should have known I had a work Zoom happy hour that I skipped.
Oh, really?
Let me be primed for this. I'm just water in a mason jar.
I've been working all day, so when I get home, it's like.
Yeah.
All right, I'm back.
Ooh.
I got whiskey instead of wine, but.
Oh, yeah, see? That'll like smooth you out. So I'm going to pull up my information so we can get started. So hello, everyone. Just want to welcome everyone to our Aroma Culinary Town Hall Series presented by Black Restaurant Week. Today, our topic is Make It Last Forever. We will be really talking about branding, creating sustainability for your business, which is really important as you know, times change. We definitely want to thank our community partners for the week. We really want to thank the National African American Restaurant Association. I know I missed something. National
Nightclub
Association, Paid Media, Black People Eats, and Google Digital Coaches. As we know, just the greater culinary community is really trying to recover from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so we've been hosting this virtual town hall series all week really to provide some insights, discuss next steps so that the community can recover. Today we really want to dive into the branding aspect. Marketing is something that always comes up. And it's something that we've noticed at Black Restaurant Week that the businesses that have really strong brand presence in their communities have been doing pretty well during this. So we really want to speak to that, discuss how, businesses can create those brands that really last and stand the test of time. And also, what are some things, businesses can do to create, some sustainability in their communities, just so that as things change, your businesses are able to kind of last. And so with that, I definitely want to welcome our panelists of lovely ladies. So we'll start to the left. I'm going to call her my cousin because we got the same last name. So we'll start with Kelly. Just give a brief introduction to yourself, and then we'll kind of go around from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for having me. I am super excited to be on another Zoom call. But no, all jokes aside, my name is Kelly Farrell. I am the founder and owner of Nana's Chicken and Waffles. I am also the author of Cooking with Kelly, and I'm also the founder of Women in Restaurants.
Nice. Okay, and then we will go down to Danielle.
Hi, my name is Danielle Mcgee. I'm the founder and CEO of Black Business Boom and also the membership director for the National African American Restaurant and Nightclub Association. I know it's a lot. It's a mouthful.
No, it's fine. And Sarah?
Sure. I'm Sarah Wickham. I am the Southeast Business Development Lead for Pop Menu.
Okay, and finally Snoop.
Hey everybody, my name is Snoop. I'm the owner of Remedy Salon Suites, Escobar Restaurant and Tapas, Crave Restaurant, and Members Only Lounge and Restaurant.
Nice. And I realized I didn't introduce myself. My name is Fallon. I am one of the managing partners to Black Restaurant Week. I'm also one of the co-creators to Fade Media. So Derek and I do all of the branding and marketing for Black Restaurant Week, all the designs and things of that nature. And Black Restaurant Week really essentially is just a marketing campaign for Black culinary businesses. So marketing and branding is my passion. So I was really excited to talk to everyone today about this. So as we kind of started, as I said before, a lot of restaurants are having to adjust. One of the biggest adjustments is definitely moving to a more digital kind of landscape with your business. And so really want to start there as restaurants are starting to move to a more virtual and digital service-based offerings. What are ways that restaurants can really focus on the customer experience of that? How do you still provide that brand experience when customers are ordering from you online?
Well, I can just kind of jump in. For us with the Nana's brand, I really just been focusing on kind of creating, when I did my business plan, it wasn't really to have a to-go or delivery restaurant. It was more to have a sit-down family environment. So for us...
Hopefully you guys can hear me.
Okay.
Sorry.
So for us, we really just been focusing on customer service, making sure that we are kind of overextending ourselves. Everyone in the world right now is kind of going through something. So just kind of making them feel like they're at home, kind of still giving them that same Nana's feel when they arrive, welcoming them to the restaurant as well. And we've even been trying to do certain things that we would typically do inside the restaurant, which is have DJs on Sundays, have live music on, DJs on Saturdays, live music on Sundays. And the guests have actually really been, that idea has really been working really well for us. We tell the change with us doing that last week, within probably when we first started opening back up for to-go. The crowd has really been kind of flocking to the weekends as well, just with some live entertainment to go along with the food. So it's been good.
Okay. Did anyone else want to jump in?
I was just going to say, one of the things that we've been doing is just trying to diversify our packaging. So initially, as Kelly was saying, most of my restaurants kind of thrive off of the vibe and the entertainment. And so, we had just very general to-go containers. So making sure that we have to-go containers that are really going to present the food and preserve the quality of it as it's being delivered. I know something that some other restaurants was doing that I personally didn't try out myself, but I thought was interesting, but they were giving away rolls of tissue, with orders. As tissue was very scarce. So I thought that was very interesting, but I think it's just, overall just causing us to be more creative and, as Kelly was saying, very much so overextending, with the customer service.
I also, sorry, I was having some technical difficulties, but I'm back. I wanted to add that because I'm in digital marketing, I know how important it is to use digital marketing technology to be able to follow up with customers. And I think it's important that right now business owners employ some of those tools to be able to follow up with their clientele and really to deepen those relationships. So by, doing email campaigns to check in with your customers, how are you guys doing? How was your experience? What do you need from us right now? And how can we help you? And again, I even have kind of pivoted in my own business. Although I'm not a restaurateur, I work with a lot of them, and I've pivoted in how I work with restaurants to provide them the tools to be able to easily survey their customers to ask about their experience and to get those good experiences published over to Google and Facebook where people are going to find out about these businesses. I think that it's important that brands become their own champion as well as let their customers become their champions by getting those reviews in right now and soliciting those so that you can get new customers.
Right, and Sarah, I know Pop Menu, it's kind of this digital application or interface that really kind of pulls in the reviews and the menus. Can you kind of explain the importance of the customer review? I know A lot of people in the culinary industry don't like Yelp reviews, so to speak, but I do think there is value in word of mouth, in customer reviews. So kind of speak to that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll, echo exactly what Danielle said, which is the reviews are huge. And what we really focus on, is bringing it on to when people are looking for a restaurant, the website is their first stop. And so we really look at, taking those reviews and putting them directly on the restaurant's own website. Where you're really able to take control of that. But, the example that I always use when I'm meeting with restaurants is if I ran a search on Amazon, say for shoes, and it came up just plain text, you would think Amazon was broken, right? Like we all shop with photos and we all shop with reviews right now. So the more that you can centralize that around your menu, which is, where everybody spends their time when they're on a restaurant website, the farther you're going to get with those customers for sure. And I think, I can kind of echo basically what everybody said, also extending that restaurant experience into the home. Some things that we've seen, our Pop Menu restaurants doing a Zoom wine tasting, which was madly successful. So you would sign up for it, receive the wine to your doorstep and then taste with the sommelier from the comfort of your own home. And another thing that we saw restaurants doing where, something like a cupcake decorating take-home kit and then having a video that they're able to, watch, especially to entertain the kids that they're, now at home with all the time.
No, that sounds cool. And so we did notice, too, like I said from the beginning, that businesses that have really great brand presence in their community, they've been able to kind of weather, some of the storm. You pull up, they still have a line. Turkey Leg and Hut in Houston still has a line outside. Went to a barbecue place, they're still selling out of food. So I guess the question becomes, how do you create that brand presence within your local community? I think that's very important. Culinary industry is so competitive, but what are some things, Kelly and Snoop, you guys have done to really create that brand presence within your local community and just, the greater Atlanta community?
Well, personally, for us, we do a lot of ours through social media. We really focus on the social media advertising. We actually have an in-house individual that is just always creating great content, to post and capturing the food, the experience, etc. But I think another thing that we're going to add to what we're doing is to focus on some of those items that once you do get them home, they still taste really good. And so if you look at per se, maybe like Houston's restaurant, or like a Ruth's Chris, where they maybe haven't done as well because of a lot of their items, me specifically, I don't want to buy something that's going to be expensive and then, I have to take it out of something plastic to eat, right, such as 22-ounce ribeye steak. Mm-hmm. But I think, if you look at like Turkey Leg Hut, which they have focused their brand and expanding their brand on social media, but they've got things that are, really simple, to eat once you get home, such as, turkey legs and just like, the barbecue that you mentioned. So I think it's also, making sure that you're tweaking your brand, as well and evolving, with the changing of times that we're going through.
Mm-hmm. And what are some things you've done?
Piggyback just what Snoop just said. It's really just altering your brand to kind of fit the times that we're going through right now. So even for us, like this past weekend, one of the things we have been blessed to still have the lines and still have the people in the community support us. And one of the things that we really focused on this last week was really featuring community heroes. And with those community heroes, I decided to choose two pastors, one from DeKalb, one from Rockdale. Both are actually our church homes, and honor them, honor what they're doing in the community and for the community. And with that, so many people came out just to support our local business, which, wind up being a plus. I mean, the goal really wasn't to benefit off of it, really was just to honor our local pastors for all that they do. And we actually we were able to feed 150 people for free this past weekend. But on top of that, we were able to also make money. So it worked out both in major ways. You know what I mean? So just really focusing on community support. And just like Snoop said, with social media, it's so important. Letting your guests know that you have curbside, letting them know that you have delivery, the different platforms that they can order from. They even have it now where I just set it up on our Instagram where they can actually order from the Instagram page.
Yeah.
Like one less thing that you have to do because the phone lines are so busy. So just making sure that you're benefiting from all of the platforms to get those orders in. And to make it as easy as possible for the guests, most importantly.
Yeah, I'll echo that 100%. Something that we talk about all the time is just removing the friction. Don't make it difficult for them to figure out where your online ordering is. Don't make them go to your Facebook page to figure out that you're open. Like if I Google you, it needs to be correct information. The hours need to be correct, and it needs to be in big bold letters, order now, making it as simple as possible. And I think the other thing that I'll add to that is consistent messaging. Maybe pre-COVID it was okay to put something out on social, once a week or so, but really just staying on top of things. I would say, 3 to 4 times a week is not too much, just to keep your message out there, and honestly just keep, letting people know, hey, these are the dishes, these are the specials, this is what we're doing, and then anytime you've got, those special community events too, highlighting them for sure.
Yeah, and I think one question I have is, I think when you're a business owner, it's hard to figure out with your brand, where does the personal brand start and where does the business brand start? And so as you guys started in your branding process, was it first like, well, let me get my business brand, up and booming, and then, as you grow and as you start adding on multiple streams of revenue, then do you look back and say, okay, now let me start my personal brand? Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs try to figure that out. Like, what is the kind of formula is me pushing myself versus me promoting the business? What are some things you guys have done to kind of balance that?
Well, for me, I initially focused on the business brand because I really wanted that to be established first. To make even the personal brand even worth knowing, so definitely focused on the business brand first, and initially it just has kind of become something that is, you can work on simultaneously, but I think it's also really important to make sure that, you still have your separate business pages and keep, the business separate. I know I was looking at something, it was actually a show, I've been watching a lot of interesting TV during this time, about Hugh Hefner, and he was saying how his Playboy brand didn't necessarily take off until he really branded himself personally, and kind of became, this Hugh Hefner character. And I think that, for me, once I established my personal brand, then I was able to, get the bookings, and, the business brands, then my personal brand, went up in value. And I had individuals like, you all, wanting me to do webinars and things of that nature. So I think it's really important to make sure that you are working on the business brand initially and putting that out there on the forefront.
Absolutely. I was going to say the same thing. It's important to work on the business, I think, initially, but what I found was that people wanted to know who the person was behind the business. And so I was very apprehensive about putting myself out there. I was like, I just want to run the business. I don't want to talk, I don't want to do any of that. I don't want people to know Danielle. And it wasn't until I put myself out there and people started to trust. It's funny because my brand is Black Business Boom, and people were on my page messaging me like, oh, you really are a Black woman. Oh, like they did, like apparently there are pages out here pretending to be like these Black empowerment brands that are not. And so it wasn't until I put myself out there that people were like, oh, I can trust you and do business with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think definitely keeping the personal brand and the business brand separate, but just remembering, especially with millennial marketing, everybody loves to really, hear the story, hear the origin story, and, have some personality behind it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing for me. It was just more of building the Nana's brand before I even came out with Cooking with Kelly and doing a cookbook. My main goal was really to just kind of push the brand first, and I wanted that to be successful before anything else really came along. And then after that, it was just like Danielle was saying, well, who is behind the brand? And for a long time, I never told anyone that I was the owner. I just always worked, but then once I actually put myself out there, I think it was, just inspiring to other women to see that, like you can be a mom. I have five children. I have 5 daughters. You could be a mom and a wife and still be very successful in what it is that you do. And even just being a woman, and running really a male dominated industry. Because when you look at restaurant industries and most chefs, they don't look like us. You know what I mean? So I think it was very motivational for me to finally kind of put myself out there, and really just push myself along with other women to say, women in restaurants, and we can do this and we can be successful. So.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a balance, right? Because to Sarah's point, you'll see businesses that have great brand stories, family owned. I definitely, we work at a restaurant in Indianapolis. It's like 2 sisters, and they started to keep their sons off the streets, So you have some businesses that just have great stories, but I definitely think it is a fine line of making sure you're not just promoting yourself. You definitely want to figure out what the brand is first before you kind of go there. So we all know multiple streams of revenue is the key to success in entrepreneurship. Warren Buffett, everyone knows the formula. It's like you need 7 streams of revenue coming in. So I think that's another area that a lot of culinary businesses tend to really struggle with, right? How do you start to diversify your offerings? Snoop, I know you've been able to expand to multiple different restaurant concepts. So just what are the ways to really start to expand your brand outside of just its initial offering? What are some of the steps you take? Do you guys do like a 5-year plan? You're like, okay, this year I'm going to launch this year I'm going to do this, or is it just kind of coming naturally? Like, how did you guys start your brand expansion?
I think you think about what makes sense, and so of course, I'm not a restaurateur, but I looked at my brand. I said, I'm inspiring Black business owners, and I'm helping them launch their business. What is a product that makes sense that goes along with my brand? So, as a restaurant, if they look at Red Lobster, they're now selling their biscuits in the store, right? So, everybody, when you think about Red Lobster, you think about the biscuits and how much you love the biscuits. So, to be able to go to the store and get them, you're going to do that because you can have them more often now, So I think as for restaurants, when they start to think about what products to sell, thinking about what makes sense for the brand. What do people love about your brand? Do they love your logo? Would they wear a T-shirt with your logo on it? Do they want to walk around and be a champion for your brand? A lot of people may want to. So thinking about what people really truly love about your brand, and then figuring out how you can monetize that.
Okay.
For me, I mean, really, it was just focusing on, what is our brand and what do people want from us? You know what I mean? So it was more of events. It was, of course, food. It was a restaurant. Then I decided to do a cookbook. People always wanted to know, well, how do you make this and how do you make that? Well, I was supposed to write a cookbook and sell it and, monetize off of that. Mm-hmm. Same thing with like hats and T-shirts. And then I decided to do another brand, which was, even though it had nothing to do with the Nana's brand, but it's women in restaurants. So that's a whole other brand. But it still has everything to do with what I'm doing on a daily basis to help and inspire another woman to be successful. So it was really just focusing on what my day-to-day life looks like and what people really want from us.
I think for us, as far as like expanding, into the different locations, once I felt like we had really kind of gotten things down to a system, for me, systems are very important. So once I felt like we had systemized the business, then it makes it so much easier to expand, and do other locations and things of that nature. And you can open quicker, because you've systemized your business. I think also as far as, generating different revenues of income within the restaurant, That for us has come at different levels as well. Like, for example, we've just now kind of introduced we had just introduced our catering program, prior to COVID-19. And so you have to determine, number one, you don't want to add on too quickly and have too many irons in the fire. For me, I like for the staff and my management team to be able to master different things. And once I feel like that they've mastered it, then I add on something else. So, for example, one of our locations, we want to do a rooftop. But first it was expanding and doing the patio, okay, and then learning to deal with that extra flow of customers, and then moving into doing the rooftop. Well, now because of this, I may not even worry about doing a rooftop. Instead, I might do a food truck, and put that on the side of town, that we are on, and because that's focusing on people that can just walk up to that. So I think it's good to expand, in different levels. And have time to be able to analyze and not get too ahead of yourself as well.
Yeah, I think another consideration can definitely be also, utilizing your space. And so if you're a restaurant that, is only open at 6 o'clock or something, you can actually get people that want to come in and run some sort of ghost kitchen, from your facility to have a breakfast biscuit place or something like that. And we've actually seen some restaurants that are, say a Japanese restaurant, they don't want to, go away from what their traditional path is, but there's a demand on Uber Eats for poke bowls. And so you can, sell poke bowls out the back door on Uber Eats and really make it work. Especially where, sometimes those third parties aren't great for restaurants. That's a great example of how it can work really well. And I think just in the short term, hopefully one of the good things that comes out of COVID is just the creativity and the resilience that we've seen, not being afraid, if you have an awesome sauce, to sell it on your website. Not being afraid to jump in where, we've seen this kind of blue apron thing happening over the past 5 years. That's a great way, if you've got a signature dish, sell it as a take-home kit. Chick-fil-A is actually testing that, or they were in Atlanta. So taking advantage of just kind of the creativity that COVID has brought about, I think, as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that's really important because, one thing we've been hearing all week is for businesses to be flexible. And I think as entrepreneurship, the first thing you learn is how to pivot on the fly, So definitely taking all that into consideration. So my next question is, as we definitely move to a more digital space, one thing Derek and I definitely struggle with Black Restaurant Week is digital imaging for a lot of Black-owned restaurants. It's just, you're looking for food photos. I mean, there's just certain kind of brand imagery, I think that restaurants should definitely invest in to really kind of be appealing to the greater community, right? Not just your core audience. How do you expand that, And so what are some things that you think restaurants definitely need to really invest in when it comes to branding their image online, whether it's photography, PR? I know you mentioned social media services. What are things that you just need to go ahead and bite the bullet and definitely put in your budget to succeed?
I think all of the things that you just mentioned, starting with photography, making sure that you're actually using food photographers, though, versus just any type of general, professional photographer. They need to be an actual food photographer. That's very, very important. I learned that the hard way when I first started off. And then just like you mentioned, a publicist. I have a very high-powered publicist, so one of my businesses, Escobar, has pretty much stayed in the press, during this COVID-19 situation. We've fed, we've got 1 week where we're feeding the homeless, the next week where we're feeding frontline workers. But be that as it may, staying in the media and being in those articles and things of that nature is definitely very helpful, and vital to the business. And, like we were saying, social media, if a lot of people don't have the time to really run their social media pages. they don't know what to say, in the captions and things of that nature. So, and all of that stuff is very important, when you post, what you're saying, the type of images that you're posting. So I think those three things are definitely, very key to making sure that, your brand is, really clear and professional.
I mean, she couldn't have said it any better. I think it's so important to make sure that you have a professional food photographer, a professional stylist. It makes a huge difference when it comes to your website, your social media, your Pinterest, your Twitter. I mean, whatever social media outlet that is, it's always great to just make sure that your food looks amazing and it's always presented well. I mean, people, they eat with their eyes first. You see the dish and then it goes to the stomach. So it's always important to really kind of give the best visual of your food that you can. And a publicist is very, very important as well. Just making sure that someone continuously has your back no matter what, making sure that you have the right opportunities to really present your brand in the spotlight. So I think all of those things are very important. Social media is the biggest thing, I think, really, with social media, because that's free advertisement. You know what I mean? That's something that you can do all day. You can continuously post on Instagram, continuously post on Facebook. And I mean, even right now with COVID, we all looked on Instagram. But everybody's stuck in the house. I mean, what is everyone doing? Yeah, everybody's on social media. You know what I mean? I don't care what you say. You're on there. And I think, just kind of making yourself relevant during these times is so important, and just kind of keeping your guests and customers up to date. People save so many photos when, they're going out of town. I want to make sure I go to Escobar, to go out, for the evening. And I want to make sure I go here, and I want to make sure I go to Nana's for breakfast. So I think people save those things in their phones when they're traveling. When everything is over, I'm quite sure restaurants are saving somebody's phones to go to when they come to Atlanta.
We're ready for that. I think one thing that I'll say, about that though, is anything that you're putting out there, and I talk with restaurants about this all the time, whether it's, a Facebook ad or just a Facebook post, if it's a billboard, you get written up on Eater, whatever it is, it's all going to drive back to your website, and those people are going to go to your menu. And so making sure that you don't, put all of this activity out into those, what we think of as like really the investment pieces of marketing. Once you've put the money in there, you need to make sure that it's driving people back to something that's going to convert. And so I think, just taking it one step further to echo, like, food photography is critical, having those photos directly on your website. And the more that you're providing that on your site, the less that they're going to bounce out again to a place like Yelp or TripAdvisor or somewhere where you really don't have control. Just keeping it kind of in the fold as much as possible. That's definitely my ethos around the whole thing.
I also think it's just important to have a strategist in all matters related to your business, as well as someone to help you get your operations in order. It was mentioned how important it was to have operations to be able to expand, and so a lot of times we're so focused on the promotion of the brand, but then the back house is a mess, and you can't even get the food out in a timely manner because you don't have your operations, your ticketing system, your order system is not in order. So I think before you start to heavily promote your business, or during this time while things may be a little slower, it's a great time to invest in finding someone, or doing it yourself, to get your operations in order and ensuring that you have strong operations no matter what happens, and that you also have a contingency plan, because we see things happen and things go wrong, and we need to know, what do we do in case there's another slowdown? What are our plans going to be to pivot if something happens in the future?
All that's great. And one thing we always tell restaurant owners too is definitely take advantage of the food blogger community. A lot of them, their whole thing is about visual imaging on their social media. So when you're dropping a new menu, dropping a new dish, just invite them out to do a tasting. But they'll provide you some great photos that you could definitely reuse, repurpose, caterers and chefs, anytime you're at an event, go talk to the photographer, talk to the coordinator. Definitely try to figure out some ways to get all of these visual images without you always having to definitely invest in an actual photographer. And I know some scholars, what is usually kind of like the budget someone should kind of budget for some of these services? I think that's always a big question. Most restaurants, marketing is the last money they're going to put pot into for their budget. They kind of focus on the operations, the food costs. So what is just some of the monthly kind of budgeting you should, set aside for your marketing activities or promotions? You guys kind of think, is it a price range? Do you set a formal budget at the beginning of the year? How do you kind of navigate that financially?
I think you just really probably need to do what works best for you. I mean, everything fluctuates so much. You have a publicist that can charge $1,000 and you have a publicist that could charge $5,000. So it really kind of depends on, your price range. The same thing with food stylists and food photographers. I mean, you have some who can charge little or nothing and they might be, an intern, and then you have some who charge top dollar. So again, I think it's just really finding someone that works within your budget. Second, putting a marketing amount aside and saying I'm going to spend on the for the quarter on marketing, whether it's a billboard or it's social media, someone doing your social media, or if it's someone doing your photos. I think, like you said, Fallon, I couldn't have said that any better. I love my food bloggers, and they are huge assets, really, to the success of our business. And some of those people, sometimes you don't have to pay. Sometimes they come and you feed them for free, and that's just as better, if not better, sometimes than an actual publicist. I mean, they come, they take photos, they write blogs, they might vlog, and sometimes those things go more powerful than being on the news or being on a TV show. It might just be more powerful with them just in front of their audience because people trust them and they trust what they say and they trust the recommendations that they give to their audience. So I really just think, appreciating them and connecting with your food bloggers couldn't go any better, especially at a time like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, like Kelly said, you have to go off of what works for you. But I think something just to note and to keep in mind is, you definitely get what you pay for in terms of, the publicist and the food photographer. So you don't want to go with, of course, the cheapest person. Because just like she said with the publicist, I mean, they range in fees drastically. So I think it's very important, to just make sure that, you're networking and keeping a good amount of contacts and having, other people that are in the industry that are restaurant owners and managers and different things of that nature, making sure that your network is where it's supposed to be. And then you can just, utilize other people's contacts, versus having to play the experimental game.
I think that it's important overall that you just have a plan. So if you know what your plan is and you outline what your plan is, then you can figure out what that budget is going to be. And so a lot of folks are just winging it, and they're like, oh, we need to post on social media today. Oh, I think we're going to do a radio spot. Oh, I think I'm going to do this. If you outline a plan, you sit down and you have a marketing plan for your business, then you can account for every one of those expenses and get them down on a piece of paper and know exactly what you need to spend for your brand. It's going to be completely different for every single business, most likely. And so I just encourage business owners to sit down before you launch your business, or if you've already launched and you haven't, sit down and figure out what is your brand, what is your strategy, how do you plan on marketing your business. Also put things in place to track how well these things are doing. So you may be pouring money into Facebook ads and you're not getting any return on it. You may be putting spots on the radio and you're not getting any return on it. You need to set marketing KPIs for your business. Just like most folks have revenue targets, you need to have marketing targets, and you need to know, I want to run an ad. Every month I'm willing to invest $200 in Facebook ads, and the return that I expect
Oh, she froze. I think her thing froze. But I will echo. I think one thing we can all agree with marketing is that you don't. You can definitely set a budget. I mean, Facebook ads can start as low as $50 a day. I think people just assume, when you talk marketing and promotions and advertising that, you need a bunch of money to do it. And so they don't really think about it. And one thing is about the network and about the community. I think there's a lot of localized advertising that people lack. They don't take advantage of. If you just think about community newspapers, we've seen businesses partner with maybe someone else in the shopping strip, and y'all, take out an ad together, right? So you're not really competing with each other, but that way you're definitely keeping costs low. Which really brings me to the next point is the power of the network. I think, especially as a small business, you're really only as good as your network at this point. But I've noticed in the culinary community, especially restaurants, and because you're in the business, kind of all day, it's kind of hard to really kind of get out of your brick and mortar and really expand your network. What are some things you guys have done, organizations you've joined, just really kind of talk to how important it is to create connections within and outside the industry, and how that can really, present you with some better and new opportunities in the future?
One thing I can say is, I mean, pre-COVID, I mean, because right now nobody's doing anything. But, prior to that, I mean, my goal was to really just kind of get out and network. And it wasn't to network with other restaurateurs per to say. It was to go out and network with people who might need our services, go out to meet with other people who wasn't familiar with our establishment. I think that's very important. Word of mouth is so much more powerful than any marketing publicist or anyone else. So that was very important for me to really just to kind of get out and network. Of course, there are many great organizations that you can join from, of course, the National Black African American Association with Jackie, places like Black Restaurant Week, like you guys, where you meet so many different people and so many different other opportunities to kind of put your brand out there, brand awareness. But really for me, it was just to, network with people who probably have never even heard of our brand and really just kind of push it out there. Just something new, you know what I mean? But there are many organizations. I mean, I have one, Women in Restaurants, and that's literally for women just like ourselves who are in this industry, and just really kind of giving them the platform that they need to be successful.
I just wanted to add that, we are stuck in the house right now, and it's a great time to take advantage of networking online. And when I say that, it's not always about what you post on your social media. It's about networking on LinkedIn. It's about joining the right Facebook groups for your business, having conversations with people who may be potential customers or partners. So it's a time where we may have a little bit more time on our hands to really step outside of just posting on social media and really cultivating, even creating your own community on social media, fans of your restaurant on social media, and getting them together and having them post their favorite dish or pictures from your restaurant. So although we can't get out and physically network, getting online and researching what are the groups that you need to be in online that can help to strengthen your network and your partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I had recently joined the Georgia Restaurant Association. I'm a member of the Atlanta Business League. And I think just also being open to doing, webinars like this. I've been using a lot of my time. Normally, my Cisco rep, she can't get in touch with me. I'm always like, ask one of the general managers or the director of operations. But now, since I have all this time on my hands, I'm the one that's sitting in and doing the webinars and looking at the different information. And even after doing something like this, mostly everybody on this panel will probably get a DM from me. Hey, it was Snoop, nice being on the panel with you. But just, keeping those lines of communication open, because during times like this, it's a good time to know people in your same situation, in your same industry, that you can share information and ideas and things of that nature with. So I think it's really important, to make sure that, you are networking and networking with the right people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, kind of seizing the moment. Again, this COVID situation really has been tough, but it feels a little bit like the first day of school, right? Like you can kind of reach out and be like, hey, do you want to be my friend? Do you want to collaborate? Because there's such a feeling of collaboration right now. So just, not being afraid to kind of reach out to people with an idea. And then when you asked the question, you said, restaurant owners don't really have the benefit of being out, but that's my answer. Is I love sitting at the bar and just chatting with the bartender and learning about the history of the restaurant, and I've met so many people, just through that, or giving feedback for sure. And I think especially when you have an awesome experience, to reach out to a restaurant owner and let them know, that's the best thing. That hey, your server was awesome, or the host was really just a rock star. I think little opportunities like that, present themselves all the time, even when you're just out getting lunch.
Yeah, and kind of what someone mentioned, there are definitely a lot of Facebook groups that are focused on people looking for recommendations for Black-owned businesses. So there's definitely a lot of low-hanging fruit to just go in and drop your flyer and kind of keep it moving. So definitely take advantage of that. So that the review part brings up like the next, I think, kind of last question. So we know the stigma of Black-owned restaurants. Everyone's quick to blame lack of customer service. Is one of the things that why they don't patron at Black-owned businesses. But when you really look at it, I mean, that does kind of kill a brand, right? Because you could have great food, great atmosphere, but if someone walks away with kind of, experience that wasn't too pleasurable, it does stick to your brand. And so as an owner, just as a business owner, what are really it kind of comes down to really about training, right? So what are some things you guys have done to just train your staff to keep the brand alive within the service, and kind of, as you mentioned, how you kind of transitioning that now that we're moving to a more delivery takeout based kind of situation?
Can I say one thing?
Mm-hmm.
So the I don't support Black-owned business thing, it kills me. Like, it completely did, right? Because how many times have you went to McDonald's and you didn't get your fries? How many times have you went to Walmart and they had 2 cashiers and 500 people?
Right.
Every time.
So if you're gonna support us.
Right.
Bad, because we're human and we make mistakes, right? You can't oversee everybody that works in my restaurant, just like I can't oversee everybody that works in my restaurant. Our values, and do we value our employees and value our customers? Absolutely. But miss me, please, and this is for everybody on my Instagram, Facebook, and everybody on here. Miss me with the I'm not supporting a Black-owned business because we forgot something or something happened. If you're gonna support us, right? Because when, and excuse my French, Sarah, but when white people go to the white restaurant, they don't say, I'm not supporting this white-owned restaurant no more.
Yeah.
Or all of them, because of one that messed up, right?
So I don't want to hear I'm not supporting these Black-owned. I just had to get that off my chest because I'm tired of
Definitely. I agree.
hearing about it. Like, it's ridiculous, right? Come on.
Yeah.
We're just like anybody else. If you have a bad experience at Ruth Chris, what are you going to do? Maybe you don't go back, maybe you're not going back, or maybe you won't support them. But you don't hear I'm not going to support that white-owned restaurant no more. I'm tired of hearing about it.
Yeah, I think that it's important that
Mute my thing back so you can go ahead. Y'all can go ahead.
No, I think that honestly, and I managed people in corporate America for years, and the thing is, you cannot interview for crazy, and you just don't know who you're getting in the door. Like, you can do the best job of interviewing, training, and all of those things, and you just don't know when someone's going to have a bad day or when they just are a flat out fool and you just didn't see it. And so I think that's why I find it is so important that our businesses solicit the feedback so that if something is going on, you catch it, And so with my business, we were doing a great job at bringing people to Black-owned restaurants, but I felt it was important that we introduce tools to really close the loop, because I don't want to keep sending someone to a bad restaurant or a bad business in general. So now we've introduced a testimonial collector. So you can get a text or email asking for your feedback. Also, a reputation manager that scours the internet to see what people are saying on social media about your business, so that you can get ahead of those things, reply to those people. A lot of times that's all it takes is a reply, to a bad review. So I think it's just important that we're being mindful that as consumers, I feel you, Kelly. People need to chill. Mistakes will be made. Mistakes will be made.
I'm not saying that people can't. I think we have to accept all criticism, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly. Because we're going to always get the good and the bad and the ugly. Everybody's not going to like your food. Everybody's not going to like my food. Everybody's not going to like this. Everybody's not going to like that. But all I'm saying is, when we get those bad reviews, right? I don't want to hear this is why I don't support Black-owned businesses.
Not at all.
It is a slap in the face to us Black people who work really, really hard to build something up, that we have. And that's the only thing that bothers me.
Yeah, and I think we just have to, it's a stigma in our community, and it's, I here in Nashville have had more good experiences than bad experiences with Black-owned businesses. But a lot of people are literally walking around waiting on something to go wrong just to be able to say, that's why I don't do business with a Black-owned business. So, again, I completely feel where you're coming from on that.
And I will say, we learn with Black Restaurant Week, it is a testament to that the Black community supports Black-owned businesses, because I feel like that's another stigma that needs to die. I mean, we've seen restaurants literally sell out of food during the campaign because of that. So, but I do think it's definitely always has to be addressed, because some of it is as simple as follow-ups and training, kind of what you mentioned, Danielle. I think that's a great idea to just definitely scour and see what people are saying, because if it's something repetitive, as Snoop mentioned, that just means it's a simple system or process you could put in to kind of fix, what that issue is. But yeah, no, definitely great.
It might be one person. I swear there's a restaurant here that I used to go to that I had the same issue with the same girl over and over again. And I started to talk to other people, and they were having the same issue with the same girl over and over again. So it might just be one person. But I also, for any consumers that may be listening, it's important that you're giving the feedback, finding a way to give that feedback to the business owner or manager, because they may not know. They just may not know that this person is rude, or that their food was cold or whatever. So make sure that you're finding a way before you just go and put a restaurant or a business on blast. Find a way to get that feedback back to that business owner and let them try to fix it.
Yeah, I deal in reviews all day long. That's a huge part of the Pop Menu platform. You definitely want them. You definitely have to have them, so that you can find out what's happening in your establishment and make those changes, because just like you said, Kelly, it's a restaurant. Things are going to go wrong. But, one thing I think on the operational side that you can do to kind of mitigate the stress of that is, number one, take those good reviews and celebrate them all through the restaurant. And I think that's one way to, if you do need to kind of make a culture change throughout the service staff or whatever it is, the more that you celebrate people, the more that, everybody wants their name brought up at pre-shift or whatever it is. And then I think the other thing is, when you're, looking at those reviews, we really don't encourage responding publicly, because all you're doing is putting a carrot out there to say, hey, if you say something mean, then you're going to get something free, or you're going to get a rise out of me, or anything like that. Keeping it private, and we have a platform to do that. Yelp, you can direct message people, anything like that. Do not, even if you're, hey, we're so sorry that happened, don't put that publicly on those third-party sites. You're just giving away control.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I was also going to say, like she was saying, just making sure that you also create a culture with your staff so that they're open to, that constructive criticism. So we have our social media personnel. They check for the reviews each each week. And then they post the good ones and the bad ones in GroupMe, and we address them all. So, and it's like the staff, they know that it's going to happen, the same time each week, so it's like, it's nothing out of the blue. And the good ones are mentioned just as much as the negative ones as well. So I think that's very important. And like everybody else was saying, making sure that you're aware of what the issues are so that you are actually looking at the reviews. I'm always really impressed when I'm doing interviews and someone is interviewing for a management position and they've looked at the reviews, on my restaurant, that they're interviewing for. So, surprising, a lot of managers and owners are not aware of what their reviews are. It's very surprising.
Yeah, so I think a good takeaway from today is definitely, welcome the reviews. Don't hide from them. Constructive criticism is always great. But I think that was really all of my questions. Did you guys have anything you wanted to chat about, or did anyone listening have any questions? We can answer them right now. And then, this is all really good. So tomorrow we are going to be hosting our final conversation with Google digital coaches. They're going to be doing some training about how to really utilize a lot of digital services while you're not necessarily in your brick and mortar. And we also really want to encourage everyone to definitely follow everyone on here. Kelly, Bananas, I know she has a cookbook she mentioned. Snoop has like 10 restaurants or businesses. We'll call her the mogul of Atlanta. Danielle, can you tell us a little bit more about your app? I know you kind of mentioned it, but how does it really work, and what is it about?
So it's called the Groupon for Black-owned businesses, and so we offer vouchers, coupons, and gift cards for Black-owned businesses. But what I've really tried to build is a success system for Black-owned businesses. So we want to act as a lead generator to get new customers to your business, but we also want to implement a loyalty program. We want to implement that reputation manager, testimonial collector, and really set you up to be successful in turning those new customers into recurring and loyal customers and even brand champions. So that is my goal, and I'm excited because we're actually excited. I know everyone on the call is in Atlanta, but we're expanding into Atlanta next month. We launched here in Nashville, and we'll be expanding. So the mobile app is booming. It can be found on the Apple App Store as well as Google Play, and we actually just recently launched the gift card portion to be able to support Black-owned businesses during this COVID-19 time, and having consumers to be able to buy a gift card now that can be used now or later. Because we know a lot, even though restaurants may be open right now, a lot of folks just aren't leaving their house, like period, or doing takeout or delivery. So we really wanted to find a way to have some folks to funnel some money and spend some money with these businesses right now, because we know rent and mortgages got to be paid right now. So we wanted to help to get those gift cards going, and so we launched those last week as well.
Nice. And then Sarah, before we close up, just a little bit more kind of wrap up to about Pop Menu, and you guys are a fairly new kind of company on the scene. So is it nationwide, or are you only in select cities, and how can people find out more about it?
Yeah, definitely. So we're actually about 3 years old, so we're based in Atlanta, and we're in, I think, like 45 states now in 6 countries. And so we've got about 3,000 restaurants, and what we seek to do is really just give control back to the restaurateurs. So what I said earlier about, if you searched on Amazon and you just got plain text, restaurants are the last industry to kind of come out of that. So we focus on putting photos and social validation on your own website, where you control the whole experience, so that people aren't jumping out to Yelp or TripAdvisor, or trying to crowdsource that information. And then kind of from that experience, we really realized, hey, it's really hard for a restaurant to just make a menu change on their website. It's really expensive for them to, get a really great email platform going. And so at this point, we're kind of a one-stop shop for everything that you need in 2020. We've got online ordering, we've got website build, email marketing, social media management. It's just one place where you can log in, address what you need to do as painlessly as possible, because nobody gets into the restaurant business because they love that stuff. And kind of have it all talk to each other too. So, your announcement about your takeout relates to your online menu that's up to date, relates to the Facebook post, and it all kind of links back to each other. Because again, that menu is the decision point, when people are deciding to dine out. And so drawing everything back to there is going to be the best way to convert, we could say, lookers to bookers. And we're really looking forward to having it be bookings instead of takeout.
No, that's awesome. Kelly, Snoop, do you guys have anything coming up in the future? I know you've been on Food Network a couple of times, Kelly. Are there any re-airings of the Thanksgiving special? Or
somebody told me the Southern Showdown just re-aired, but I missed it. I don't have anything. Everything that I had planned got canceled.
Okay.
But we have some amazing events coming up at the restaurant. This Sunday we have a Mother's Day car brunch.
No, no.
We'll be having a live band as well, so that will be pretty awesome. Saturday we've just been kind of doing our normal car brunch with the DJ. And that's really it. Of course, you can always find my cookbook on cookingwithkelly.com. I think I'm doing something with Black Restaurant Week. And I have a special code that you guys can use for a discount. That's really it. Just following us on social media. So Nana's Chicken and Waffles, Cooking with Kelly with a K. And that's it. Hopefully soon we are working on our second location. So hopefully I can announce that soon after COVID-19.
Okay. Snoop?
Are you guys' restaurants open right now?
Yeah, my restaurant is open.
Okay. And Snoop, are your restaurants open?
3 out of 4 of my locations are open right now. Yeah. But just on a lasting note, I just wanted to, leave my Instagram at whoissnoop, my website, whoissnoop.com. I actually have a course that's dropping tomorrow, how to open up your own restaurant. That's at courses.whoissnoop.com. And just looking forward to, helping still be able to serve guests, but, keep them safe as well is definitely, a new normal and a higher expense, that also comes with operating a restaurant, with some of the things that, are changing and things that, we have to implement to be able to keep our customers and our staff safe. So appreciate the support, everybody.
Yeah, no, so I really appreciate all you guys joining in for us tonight. Like I said, tomorrow we have our last kind of afternoon chat. We'll also have Melba Wilson. She's a restaurant owner out of New York, out of Harlem, so we're really excited. For Black Restaurant Week, we finally finished our calendar. We've been adjusting it every 3 weeks, but we're definitely looking forward to dropping that and really looking forward to definitely getting back out to the community to help, bring awareness to a lot of the Black-owned businesses. So thank you, everyone. Join us tomorrow, and I hope everyone has a good evening.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.